Welcome to English Fix Daily. Today's story is called The Letter I Could Not Read. This is a simple English story for listening practice, speaking confidence, and motivation. Listen carefully, because there is a secret in this story. A father gives his daughter a letter, but she cannot read it. The letter is written in English, and the last line of that letter will change her life. In the middle of the story, I will ask you one simple question. Answer it in the comments to check your listening focus. And if this story helps you, press the like button. For more simple English learning stories, subscribe to English Fix Daily. Now, let's begin. Meera Sharma was 23 years old. She lived in a small town with her father. Her mother had passed away when Meera was young, so her father was her whole world. He cooked for her. He packed her lunch. He waited for her after college. He listened to every small problem. Meera had now got her first job in a big city. On the day she was leaving, her father stood near the bus stop with her. He was holding a small blue envelope. He gave it to Meera and said, "Keep this with you." Meera smiled and asked, "What is inside, Papa?" Her father looked at her for a few seconds. Then he said softly, "Open it only when the city feels too big for you." Meera laughed a little. "Papa, I am not a child now." Her father smiled. "I know, but sometimes even grown-up children need their father." Meera kept the envelope in her bag. The bus started moving. Her father raised his hand and smiled, but Meera saw tears in his eyes. She pressed her hand on the window and whispered, "I will make you proud, Papa." The city was bigger than Meera had imagined. The roads were crowded. The buildings were tall. The lights were bright. The people were always in a hurry. Meera stood with her bag and looked around. Everything looked fast. Everything looked expensive. Everything looked confident. She took a deep breath and said, "This is my new life." But deep inside, she was nervous, because the city was not only big, the city was fast, and everyone around her seemed more confident than her, especially in English. Meera reached her small rented room in the evening. There was one bed, one chair, one table, one window. She opened her bag and took out her clothes. At the bottom of the bag, she saw the blue envelope. For a moment, she touched it. Then she smiled and kept it inside the drawer. She said, "Not today, Papa. I am strong." But the room was silent. There was no father waiting with dinner, no warm voice asking, "How was your day?" The silence felt bigger than the room. The next morning, Meera went to office. Everyone was dressed well. Everyone was speaking confidently. Some people were talking in Hindi, but during meetings, most people spoke in English. Fast English, office English, confident English. Meera understood some words, but when people spoke quickly, her mind became blank. During the team introduction, her manager said, "Meera, please introduce yourself." Meera stood up. Her hands became cold. She had prepared a small introduction, but when everyone looked at her, the words disappeared. She said, "My name is Meera. I am from a small town. I am happy to join." Then she stopped. The room was quiet. Nobody laughed, but Meera felt embarrassed. For the rest of the day, she avoided eye contact. That night, Meera came back to her room. She closed the door. The room was silent. There was no one to say, "Do not worry. Tomorrow will be better." Meera sat on the bed. She tried to control herself, but tears started falling. She opened her phone and saw a message from her father. Reached office? Ate food? Take care. Meera typed, "Yes, Papa. Everything is good." But everything was not good. She felt small. She felt alone. She felt afraid. Then she remembered the blue envelope. Her father's words came back to her mind. Open it only when the city feels too big for you. Meera slowly opened the drawer. The blue envelope was inside. It was lying quietly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Her father had written her name on it in blue ink, Meera. She looked at the envelope for a long time. Her hands were shaking. She whispered, "Maybe today the city is too big for me." Then she picked up the envelope carefully. Meera opened the envelope carefully. Inside, there was one folded paper. She unfolded it. The letter was written in English. Meera froze. She could read only the first line clearly. "My dear Meera, if you are reading this, it means you are afraid." Meera stopped. She tried to read the next line, but there were too many words. Some words were simple. Some words were difficult. Some sentences were long. She felt helpless. Her father had written something for her. Maybe something important. Maybe something emotional. But she could not understand it. She held the paper close to her heart and cried. She whispered, "Papa, why did you write it in English?" That night, Meera did not know the answer, and that question stayed in her heart. Before we continue, here's your listening focus question. What was the first line Meera could read from the letter? Was it A, "My dear Meera, if you are reading this, it means you are afraid"? Was it B, "My dear Meera, come back home soon"? Or was it C, "My dear Meera, English is impossible"? Write your answer in the comments. When you listen carefully, your English improves naturally. Now, let's continue the story. The next morning, Meera woke up early. The letter was still on the table. She looked at it again. For the first time, English did not feel like an office problem. It felt personal. It felt emotional. She did not want to learn English to impress people. She wanted to learn English to understand her father. That evening after office, she searched for simple English stories. She played one story. The voice was slow. The sentences were simple. She listened carefully. Then she repeated one line. "I can learn slowly." She repeated it again. "I can learn slowly." Then she wrote it in her notebook. Every night, she listened to English. Every night, she repeated small sentences. Not big grammar, not difficult words, only simple English. "I can try. I can speak one sentence. I will not give up. I may not know every word, but I will not stop learning." Slowly, her room became her classroom, and the blue letter became her reason. That night, she practiced in front of the mirror. She spoke slowly. "Good morning, everyone. I completed my report. I found one issue. I need your suggestion." She made mistakes. She forgot words. She started again, again, and again. Then she looked at herself in the mirror and said, "I do not need perfect English. I need honest courage." A few days later, Meera's colleague Ria came to her desk. Ria said, "Meera, tomorrow we have a short team discussion. You can share your update." Meera smiled, but her heart started beating fast. She wanted to say, "No, please do not ask me." But then she remembered the letter. She remembered her father's first line. If you are reading this, it means you are afraid. Meera thought, yes, I am afraid. But maybe Papa already knew this day would come. After 1 week of listening practice, Meera tried to read the letter again. This time, she understood a little more. She read slowly. My dear Meera, if you are reading this, it means you are afraid. She paused. Then she continued. When you were small, you held my finger and learned to walk. Meera's eyes became wet. She remembered her childhood, her father walking beside her, his hand holding her tiny hand. She continued reading slowly. Now hold courage and learn to speak. Meera covered her mouth. The sentence went straight into her heart. Her father was not there in the room, but his words were holding her hand. That night, Meera did not cry because she was weak. She cried because she felt loved. The next day, during the team discussion, Meera had one small point. Her mind said, stay quiet. Her heart said, speak one sentence. She raised her hand slowly. Everyone looked at her. Her voice was soft but clear. I found one issue in the report. Her manager said, okay, Meera, please explain. Meera took a breath. She explained in simple English. She did not use big words. She did not speak fast, but people understood her. After the meeting, Ria came to her and said, good point, Meera. Meera smiled. It was only one small sentence, but for Meera, it felt like opening a locked door. That evening, she wrote in her notebook, today I spoke one sentence. Then she added, one sentence can become confidence. Every night, Meera tried to read more of the letter. Some lines were still difficult, but each week she understood a little more. One night, she read another part. If people smile at your mistakes, do not hate them. Smile and continue. A mistake is not shame. A mistake is proof that you are trying. Meera stopped. She looked at the word proof. She searched the meaning. Proof means evidence. She smiled and said, my mistakes are proof that I am trying. From that day, she stopped hiding from mistakes. In office, if she forgot a word, she tried another word. If she spoke slowly, she continued. If her sentence was not perfect, she still completed it. She was not fluent yet, but she was no longer silent. After 1 month, Meera's manager said, Meera, next week you will give a short presentation. Meera felt fear again. A presentation, in English, in front of everyone. That night, she looked at the blue letter. There was still one part she had not fully understood. The last part. The final paragraph. She wanted to read it, but she still could not understand every word. She said, Papa, what are you trying to tell me? Then she opened her notebook and practiced. For 7 days, she listened to English stories. She repeated her presentation lines. She recorded her voice. She listened again. She corrected small mistakes. She spoke slowly. She practiced pauses. She learned one important thing. English is not about speed. English is about clarity. On presentation day, Meera stood in front of the team. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating fast. But this time, she did not run away from fear. She looked at the first slide. Then she began. Good morning, everyone. Today, I will share my update. Her voice was slow, but clear. She made one mistake in the second sentence. For a second, she stopped. Everyone waited. Old Meera would have become silent, but new Meera remembered the letter. A mistake is proof that you are trying. She smiled and said, "Sorry, let me say that again." Then she continued. At the end, her manager said, "Good work, Meera. Your explanation was clear." The team clapped softly. Meera smiled. Her English was not perfect, but her courage was real. That night, Meera came back to her room. She did not change her clothes. She did not eat dinner first. She went straight to the drawer. She took out the blue letter. Her hands were shaking again, but this time, not from fear. This time, from hope. She sat near the window. The city lights were shining outside. She took a deep breath and started reading. My dear Meera, if you are reading this, it means you are afraid. When you were small, you held my finger and learned to walk. Now, hold courage and learn to speak. If people smile at your mistakes, do not hate them. Smile and continue. A mistake is proof that you are trying. Then she reached the final paragraph. This was the part she had waited to understand for weeks. She read slowly. My daughter, I wrote this letter in English because I know English scares you. Meera stopped. Her eyes filled with tears. She continued, It scared me too. Meera held the letter tighter. Her father had never told her this. She read the next line. Every night, after work, I learned one small English sentence. Not for myself. I learned it for you. Meera started crying. Now she understood. Her father, who spoke simple Hindi all his life, had learned English quietly, not to show anyone, not for a job, not for praise, only to write one letter to his daughter. She continued reading. If your father can learn one sentence at this age, you can learn many sentences at your age. Do not be afraid of English. It is only a language. Your voice is more important than your mistakes. Meera could not read the last line because her tears were falling on the paper. She wiped her eyes. Then she read the last line. And whenever the city feels too big, remember, my blessings are bigger. Meera pressed the letter to her heart. For the first time, the big city did not feel bigger than her. Meera called her father. It was late at night. Her father picked up the phone quickly. Meera, are you okay? Meera could not speak for a few seconds. Then she said, Papa, I read your letter. Her father became silent. Meera continued, I read it fully, in English. There was silence on the call. Then her father asked softly, Did you understand it? Meera smiled with tears. Yes, Papa. I understood every word. Her father did not say anything, but Meera could hear him crying quietly. Then he said, Today, I heard my daughter's courage. Meera looked outside the window. The same city lights were there. The same tall buildings were there. The same fast world was there. But something had changed. Meera had changed. Meera did not become fluent in one day. She still made mistakes. She still forgot words. She still spoke slowly. But she was not ashamed anymore. She understood something important. English is not magic. English is practice. English is listening every day. English is repeating simple sentences. English is speaking even when your voice shakes. And sometimes, the strongest English lesson does not come from a classroom. Sometimes, it comes from love. Sometimes, It comes from a father who learns one sentence at night, only to give courage to his daughter. So remember this line: I may not know every word, but I will not stop learning. Say it slowly. I may not know every word, but I will not stop learning. Say it again. I may not know every word, but I will not stop learning. Now tell me in the comments, why did Meera's father write the letter in English? And write one sentence you will speak in English today. Your sentence can be very simple. I will try today. I will speak slowly. I will not fear mistakes. When you write in the comments, you are not only commenting, you are practicing English. If this story touched your heart, press the like button. And if you want to learn English through simple emotional stories, subscribe to English Fix Daily and press the bell icon. Remember, listen carefully. Speak slowly. Practice daily. Do not hide your voice, because your voice is more important than your mistakes. Thank you for listening.